what happens in church in terms of sound, it is quite important.
Do you see what you do in church as a ministry?
100%.
And do you think it's spiritual?
It has to bring spiritual elements into it, 100%, because what you produce can uplift the church.
Yeah.
It can and will uplift the church.
Yeah.
Because there's been times I've had to walk down in numerous churches. I've had to go down to the front and take the microphone off them. I'm not a singer, but then I will sing just to prove the microphone is working and it is at a nice level. You know, after a while, the church should know what levels everything should be set at. Everybody should know what part they play, whether they're singing or playing the music.
What is one thing worship leader can do that instantly makes your job easier? Welcome back to The Creative Preachers, the podcast where we showcase how creativity is our ministry. I'm your host, Paul. And today we are stepping behind the sound desk. You know those people who make worship feel so immersed, keep the pastor's sound crisp, and quietly save the day when something goes wrong. We're talking about the church sound engineers. Mr. Vince Hyatt is a dedicated sound engineer with nearly 40 years of experience who began in church and has worked on a wide range of projects, including gospel, outdoor, corporate, wedding, and special occasions. He has also supported various churches with their in-house PA systems and even initiated basic training. However, he is still learning, like all of us, like most of us.
Absolutely.
Bringing excellence and a whole lot of calm to a chaotic live production. That's why we're here to find out.
Absolutely.
Isn't
Can
it?
be chaotic, definitely.
Chaotic live productions.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's start simple. What got into sound engineering?
It started from a very young age. Back in the days, I was always fascinated by sound, audio, early record players back in the days that worked on Valve. And I was always fascinated by the sound, even to the fact pulling my mum's radiogram apart slightly just so I could play my guitar through the amplifier. But initially in church, for me, was church. Watching the older guys set up the PA system for the instruments, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was quite fascinated by that. And then after a few years, I got involved with setting up the PA, and then at some point started to lead the PA system and in charge of setting it up for Sunday morning. Back then, I would have been early 20s.
Okay.
Early 20s, I'd have been early 20s then, starting to set up the PA system. A PA system that was bought from the local town in Wolverhampton. Was bought in, set up by the guys who provided the system. And I got fascinated by the way it was wired up, connected, the crossover points, which I didn't really know anything about back then. Yeah. But I was always fascinated by how they worked. So I started to pick up things from there. Yeah. And from some of the guys who had experience, some of the guys in the shops that worked, they were very knowledgeable. And I'd always speak about a particular shop in Wolverhampton. It was called One Way Music, and the guy that ran that business was called Mick. And Mick used to show me some things, how certain positions of microphones, what amplifiers would do, what mixer to use for this. He showed me quite a bit, and I've learned from there. So
you actually learned on the job? Is that?
Yes. A lot of it was learnt on the job.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. A lot of it was, in fact, all of it was learnt on the job.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, all of it.
So you never actually studied anything, any aspect of sound engineering?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
No, absolutely. Absolutely not. I think the only thing was, for me, was using equipment that was good quality, that could do the job for you to a certain extent. Plug it in, and it required minimal sort of adjustments, the quality, and you got used to what microphones sounded better than other microphones, what would do what job, and you got used to it. So you learned by using different methods to produce a good sound, and your mixers as well as the amplifiers. Everything had to complement each other. If it didn't complement each other, there'd be issues down the line somewhere. You think this doesn't sound as good as how it should sound.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be mixed matching that can cause a problem, or mixed matching that can solve a problem, believe it or not.
So how do you then decide on a good sound? How do you, because you just mentioned about sounding good.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate what sound good and what sound bad?
You've got to have good hearing for yourself. That's a lot of things engineers need, good hearing. A lot of people tell if it doesn't sound good. You'll know if it doesn't sound good because people will tell if it doesn't sound good. Sometimes you can get away with average sort of sound. Everybody's okay with that. But sometimes with me, in fact, a lot of times what I do now, I self-reflect.
Okay.
If I do an event, I will step back and think what could have gone better. And we hear this a lot when you go into training for whatever job you might be involved in, that you might reflect at the end, and I reflect and I think I should have used that piece of equipment or used that item or mixed it this way or do something that would have made it sound, better in your, but majority of people, it sounded good to me. There's no problem, but if it sounds bad, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
And there's been numerous occasions where I've been not engineering the sound, but people have come up to me and it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
That's not me engineering, that's somebody else. And I'll say to them, I'm not engineering the sound, so I can hear if it doesn't sound the way it should sound.
Yeah.
But, it's a miss sometimes in cases where people are engineering the sound and doesn't quite go to the way they want it to spec.
Yes.
However, that's got to be rare. You can't have that happen. It's got to be good all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about quality, isn't it?
It's all about, absolutely. You got a standard to, to work on, to keep up.
And that's what makes people keep calling you back because of how good you are, because I've worked with you.
Yes, we've worked with you. It's a privilege, honor to know, guys. And I'll tell you something, it's good. The reason why I enjoy this, it's in a church environment, Christian background.
Yeah.
You meet other Christians from different backgrounds, different organizations.
Yeah.
Some might have slightly different beliefs.
Yes.
But I know they're still reaching out to the same God, but in their way of their journey to working towards God, getting to know God. But and generally for me, I absolutely adore working in the Christian environment and working towards excellence.
Yes.
That's what you've got to work towards, excellence because what happens in church in terms of sound can be it is quite important.
Yeah.
It's quite important. Yeah.
So on that note, do you see what you do in church as a ministry?
100%.
Okay.
It is, because...
And do you think it's spiritual?
It has to bring spiritual elements into it, 100%, because what you produce can uplift the church. It can and will uplift the church because you have to work together with your musicians and the praise and worship. If you have a singer that's singing and you as an engineer can, how can we say, initiate a bit of sound effect, maybe a bit of delay, a bit of reverb to bring in the essence of the spirit.
The echo.
You work together, good worship leaders can communicate to the tech, by the way they're performing. It sort of, what can I say, it requires that excellence, that sound of bit of reverb, delay, and it just brings in that spirit, that calm spirit, and people can get blessed by that. So it does. You've got to recognize where the spirit is going to be very prominent.
Yeah,
prominent.
That's the word. Yeah. So in one sentence, what does a church sound engineer actually do?
A good dedicated sound engineer will make sure everything's running as it should be.
Yeah.
Engineer would 9 times out of 10 have to be there first.
Yes.
To make sure everything's running the way it should do. There's no issues. If you've got cordless mics, the batteries are in the cordless mics and ready to go and they're half charged or they're gone, which happens, it has happened where, unfortunately it shouldn't happen, but it does happen. and just make sure everything's connected in the way it should be, and we meet the requirements of the worship team and the musicians as much as possible. But also, musicians and worship singers have to play their part as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just rely on the engineer to cover certain areas because they might be lacking in whatever they need to, you know, to put out there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that comes to also our worship team or worship leaders are trained in terms of vocal projection.
Yeah. Yes,
isn't
absolutely.
It?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see some worship leaders asking, can you bring me up a bit? But the ideal thing is that they not actually speak.
Absolutely. They need to put in, you put in and then you can get out. Because there's been times I've had to walk down in numerous churches. I've had to go down to the front and take the microphone off them. I'm not a singer, but then I will sing just to prove the microphone is working and it is at a nice level.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can turn it up too much and then you'll obviously instigate feedback.
Yeah.
So it's about they learning to use the mics properly.
So how do you balance, this is outside the question, how do you balance the volume in terms of what the church, the overall, the church hear and what the stage hear? Does that make sense?
That can be a bit of a challenge at times.
Yeah.
It depends on your layout of the church as well. Depends how your church is laid out. It depends where the musicians are. At our church at Zion City Tabernacle, it's quite a confined area, small stage. We've just recently bought electronic drum just to cut down on the sound, the noise spilling over. But we work with it. As an engineer, you got to try and EQ the floor monitors and get it balanced with the front of house speakers. So there's no feedback or any issues. Yes, we do get feedback from time to time. And that can be initially because I've turned the mics up because one of the singers have said they can't hear themselves. And this is where I go down and I'll take the mic and sing it for myself. However, sometimes it's not their fault.
Yes.
It can be somebody's probably made an adjustment inside the microphone, which can alter the volume of the microphone.
Okay.
And we might have to put that back to where it was. And then we've got a balance again. Yeah. But generally now, after a church has been, you know, after a while, the church should know what levels everything should be set at. Everybody should know what part they play, whether they're singing or playing the music, and engineers as well.
So when you're mixing a church service, what are the top two things that you're listening for?
Clarity.
Clarity.
I'm looking for clarity. I'm looking for definition.
Yeah.
I'm looking for quality. I'm looking for all the things that's going to enhance the service, enhance the worship.
Yes.
You know, I'm also looking out for people who might not be using the mic the way they should be. Musicians not playing the way they should be. Musicians not probably understanding what they've got to play, understanding their own equipment.
Yeah.
So the volume can alter for up and down because musicians aren't sure about a particular key, not sure about the song. So that can have implications on the engineer.
So how do you balance, a scenario where the speaker, say the pastor or whoever is doing the presentation or speaking on the stage, how do you balance those type of speakers that have different volumes? Like, they speak low at one point and then they go high at one point and they go low at one point.
That can be a challenge. That can be a challenge. This is where sometimes, like I have an assistant at church now, and I might say to the assistant engineer, I might say, this is going to be challenging. This is going to be challenging. I think one of the challenges I had recently was a woman preacher, and she kept on saying that she wasn't getting enough bass in her vocals when she's preaching. And to me, I've never heard that one before.
Bass for when you're preaching?
I've never heard that before. And I said to other people, did it sound okay to you? Because I'm thinking, I'm probably not hearing this properly. And they said it sounded okay to me. And it did sound okay, but what she wanted, I don't really know. If you wanted more clarity, but that can depend on your microphones. If you want more clarity, it's a more expensive microphone you're going to be using.
Yeah.
And based on what she said, in hindsight and reflection, I thought to myself, if I'd have known that she's going to be sort of, how can I say, require that sort of requirements, I would have bought different microphones in for her. But to me, that's what we use normally, and we never have a problem. The only problem we have is the way some people use microphones, and they don't understand, especially if you're streaming.
Yeah.
If they do not understand, it affects the stream.
Yes.
It affects the stream big time.
Yeah.
Musicians, again, don't understand. If they turn up or turn down, it affects the stream.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that affect streaming.
Yeah.
And so
I know that very well.
yeah. And when we do our streaming,
Yeah.
there's somebody, we have an additional outside streaming before we start the main streaming to everybody, and they will, this is too loud, that's too loud. So they're monitoring from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
That's too loud, turn this up a bit, turn that down a bit. And sometimes that can come from having discipline in the worship team, musicians and singers as well. It's something we all have to work together, we all work on, and the more people get experience in that era, how can I say, in that area of worship, they'll understand that makes a difference. If you turn up and down or you're not singing the way you should, then it can have implications on your sound overall.
Absolutely. So what is one mistake churches make with sound that is surprisingly easy to fix?
That's a good question, and I'll answer that. Churches, the biggest mistake I would say, sometimes they don't get the right advice. They'll go out and buy anything. They'll go out and buy anything and think it will do the job.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to understand that, because you can see something and it looks good. What's that saying they say? Not all that looks gold is gold. I can't remember the saying, but they'll see a piece of equipment, looks the part. They think, yeah, this is what we need
Looks
for
slick.
church.
Looks nice.
Yeah. And then when they get it, or I might have to come in to solve a problem, I say to them, you shouldn't have bought this. You shouldn't have bought that. You know, so what is an easy fix for me is get advice. You know, I can advise churches what to buy without spending a lot of money, because I know a lot of churches are concerned about budget.
Yes.
And that can be the big thing in church, budget. Sometimes I recommend buy a good second-hand cordless mic, good second-hand amplifier, good second-hand whatever the item might be, and it'll still produce the good quality sound, 100%.
That's good. That's a good answer. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And what is the most underrated skill a sound engineer needs? The most underrated skills that nobody talks about?
Dedication, I think.
Dedication.
Yeah, because some don't realize what time you got to be there to make sure everything.
Absolutely.
And they don't realize when everything's over what you've got to do to make sure you've got your equipment, especially if you're doing events and you've got to set up and you've got to pack up. Some people, believe it or not, come up to you and say, well done, you've done a good job. I know you've got to pack up and it's going to take a while. And they'll come up and say, you're the first in, aren't you? You're the last out. When somebody says that to me, they understand. I know they understand.
Yes. This is the reason why I'm doing this.
Absolutely, I understand that.
To let people appreciate what goes on behind the scenes. The fact that we are the first person to open a church, set up, and the last person to leave.
Yes.
So I want to talk about teamwork and worship. Okay. Church production is all about relationship. As we all know, we all work together.
Absolutely, yes.
So how do you keep communication smooth between yourself, most especially between the instrumentalists, the musicians, the worship leader, the pastor, like general people that go on that stage? How do you keep that relationship tight?
It's not just about engineers communicating with them, it's them communicating with us as well.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing for an engineer is when something changes and you're not told.
Yeah.
So they need to tell us what they want, when they want it, how they want it, and be a bit specific about it as well. Things can change at the last minute, an engineer doesn't know. And that can be a big frightening in terms of you're not prepared for what's going to come. So I think communication on both sides. An engineer might if he suspects something might change, we'll go up
Yeah.
to whoever's organising and ask, is anything change or did you require this?
Yeah.
You might see something that will benefit the worship team
Yes.
and say,
Yeah.
how about this, using this, or let's do it this way. And so communication is important. If it's a general service, everybody knows what they're doing every
Yeah.
Sunday. They just
Yeah.
go up, take the mic, and away they go. The musicians will just play along. But if there's anything specific in terms, it might be a particular event that the
Yes.
church is having.
Yeah.
Would
yeah.
it be a women's event, a men's event, young people's event, which is, we've got Youth Congress coming up soon for the young people. I might ask what the requirements are for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can make notes in my head and make sure it's in place, especially if I'm not going to be there because I might be out doing something else. Then I might set it all up and leave it for somebody else to run. But generally, communication's very important.